slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Welcome, Sharkbait, to Geek Salad episode 159. Who is Sally and why does she love Mexico?
For those of you playing at home, that's what's called a deep cut.
That is
way deep.
That is way deep. I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Joe.
And we don't have Catherine tonight because she was busy and tired. Which is fine. It's been a trying week for everybody.
Yeah, it's been a long week.
Yeah, so we're gonna bang this out. By bang this out, I mean talking about all of the films that Steven Spielberg has directed.
And it is quite the oeuvre.
Steven Spielberg or Senor Spielbergo?
No, we're not going with his Mexican non-union equivalent, Mike.
Get me Steven Spielberg. He's unavailable. Then get me his non-union Mexican equivalent. Listen, Senor Spielbergo, I want you to do for me what Spielberg did for Oscar Schindler.
Schindler es bueno. Senor Burns es el diablo.
Listen, Spielbergo, Schindler and I are like peas in a pod. We're both factory owners. We both made shells for the Nazis, but mine worked, damn it.
Oh, God. It always, as Jonna said, it always comes back to The Simpsons.
You know what? This week might not be a good time to bring up The Simpsons.
No. Thanks for ruining that, everybody. Thanks, you fucking snowflakes. Anyway, yes, we are talking about the very, very extensive directing career of Mr. Steven Spielberg.
Or possibly the greatest director that's ever lived.
I would say he's up there.
Yeah, an argument can be
made. In terms of modern day movies, absolutely. I mean,
he created the blockbuster.
Right, he created the blockbuster. And when you ask even a non-movie person, name a director.
Oh, the first one that comes to mind is Steven Spielberg.
It's Steven Spielberg. It has to be.
Yeah.
Unless you're like my one of my coworkers who keeps going to the guy who did Sicario. I mean, so apparently that guy does nothing but direct movies.
Just before we kind of get into the weeds of it, because I know we got to blow through all these. It's like, in terms of like volume and just sheer number. And just basically the feeling you get when you watch one of his movies. I think a good argument could be made that Steven Spielberg is one of the greatest, but I think you're also going to see a lot of pushback from people who think like De Palma, Scorsese, that kind of group of...
Film nerds are kind of loath to admit that Steven Spielberg is a great director.
Yes.
And that is coming from a film nerd who I don't feel that way at all. I think Steven Spielberg has a very good eye. He is a very, very good director. And as we go down this list, you'll see how that directing matures.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I get from quote-unquote film nerd is that for a director to be considered great, they have to be an auteur.
Right.
And any whiff of commercialization, which you have to say to Spielberg, he doesn't shy away from commercial, big budget projects.
He created them.
He created them. So for a lot of film nerds, that kind of is a disqualifier. It's like, well, he's a big buck-busted director. He's not an auteur.
Right.
Yeah, he made a couple of good, highfalutin movies, but...
He won a couple of Oscars doing serious stuff. Oh, and excuse me, by the way, the sound that you hear there is me opening up our Reese's Chips Ahoy.
Because Reese's Pieces.
Because Reese's Pieces and Reese's Peanut Butter, and none of us are allergic, so there. Yeah.
About last year, sometime last year, I think, or earlier this year, HBO released a documentary called Spielberg, and it is incredible.
Honestly, I think it could have stood to been 2 parts.
Yeah.
They skipped a lot.
Yeah. But,
they skipped some very important movies, I think.
but they also give you a real grasp about like where he came from, how he grew up, stuff I did not know. And like when he first burst onto the field, he was a basically a prodigy. Yeah, I mean, when he came out swinging, and everyone like all the quote unquote critics and all the other filmmakers, the auteurs were like, who is this guy? Why is he making these movies? He's not a real filmmaker. He makes the lowbrow stuff. Have you seen Jaws?
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into that. We are a few movies ahead of us, though.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we start the list?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
All right. And I got to grab, because what we're going to do is our Facebook feedback is going to be a little, it's going to be a little, like, scattered here. And the primary reason why is because it kind of ties into everything. And there's so many movies to talk about, we just need to get moving now. So, the first movie we're going to talk about is one that Pete Callahan writes to be his first effort, is always overlooked, but I think it's a great film, and that is 1971's Duel.
Which was a TV movie for ABC?
I believe it was ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the early 70s when Dennis Weaver was considered a celebrity.
When he was considered A-list.
All right. You ever seen this movie?
I've
seen snippets of it.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't sat through it and watched it.
I mean, I watched the ending because, I knew how it ended. But I wanted to see that before this. And in fact, they talk about the ending in that documentary.
Right.
About how, the studio wanted the truck to blow up at the end. And Spielberg was like, if it blows up, I'm not letting you put this movie on the air, because he wanted to see it just crumble.
He wanted the truck to die.
He wanted the oil to drip like blood. He wanted that to be visceral.
Yeah. Honestly, watching what I've seen of this movie, I'm shocked he didn't get his start with Roger Corman. This is all the earmarks of like Death Race 2000. Like, which was Ron Howard's feature film
Was it?
Yeah.
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 No. Was it?
No, Death Race 2000 was a little later than Duel.
Right.
But
it's like, there are all these movies that Corman produced for up-and-coming directors. And Ron Howard has one of those movies in there.
B movies.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what this is. It's
Saturday afternoon matinees.
The guy who directed this movie, you would never know that he is still making prolific Best Picture nominees today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no inkling of it,
Right. All right. So the next film, 1974's The Sugarland Express.
His official
first cinematic movie.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Never seen it.
I haven't either.
It started with
Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, Goldie Hawn.
So, all right. So when we have to park at for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
1975's Jaws.
I rewatched this one again this last week, and it is probably in my top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah.
Possibly in my top 3.
Now, I will say this, as Star Wars fans, we're hypersensitive to the news about movies and stuff like that. And we're all aware of the issues with like Rogue One and Han and then the Solo movie, right? If ever there's a movie that proves the adage that you can turn shit into gold, it's Jaws.
Yeah.
Because all the problems that this movie had during production.
This movie was saved in the editing room.
He was able to work around it and make a classic. It's a classic. It's iconic.
There's a reason Verna Fields won the Academy Award for this movie for Best Editing.
Right.
She saved this movie big time.
It is... Yeah, it was just do more with less.
Yeah.
And
they had no choice. They had no choice.
Right.
The shark, Bruce would not work.
The funny thing is... and
I love hearing that story 1,000 times from Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, the studio executives who greenlit this movie, they've said in an interview that if they had read the book a second time, they would have never greenlit the movie because...
Is that Paramount or was that...
No, that was Universal.
Yeah.
Universal, okay. I was going to say, because if it was 20th Century Fox, maybe we'd never have gotten Star Wars.
And also, I think if Spielberg had been a little bit more skilled, he would have known, you don't try and film on the ocean. Because that is just a whole mess of problems.
Well, you think about it. I mean, that's his third. It was his second theatrical release.
It's that second theatrical release. And also, let's be honest. We're from the Northeast. We know how shitty those waters are to begin with.
That is fucking cold.
Off of Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard, yeah.
It's fucking cold.
Yeah, all the time. In the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've heard stories of other movies, like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, where...
No, they filmed down in the Caribbean, though.
Yeah, they also film, though, on the ocean.
Oh.
Never shoot on water.
Yeah.
Use the tank.
Yeah.
Use the goddamn tank. That's what it's for.
Yeah, give James Cameron credit. He did most of Titanic in a tank.
In a tank, yeah.
A big tank.
A big tank, but it's a tank.
Still. But this movie has everything. Suspense, Richard Dreyfuss.
Key characters.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, I first saw this movie when I was a kid. I was like 8, 9 years old. And it scared the shit out of me. I wouldn't go into the water for like a year.
Yeah. We had a freshwater beach, and I wouldn't even go into it.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't even go to a swimming pool.
Yeah.
But because of the issues with production, it is a textbook like lesson in building suspense. Less is more. You don't show the monster until the last second,
right?
Type of thing.
And the funny thing is, like everyone knows the giant shark. The shark attacking. That's stands out. But the specific scenes that really punch and really make an impact are two that I can think of. One, obviously, the Indianapolis speech.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes that shark, he looks right into you. Right into your eyes. You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes. Black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then... Oh, then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming. The ocean turns red, and in spite of all the pounding and the hollering, they all come in and they rip you to pieces.
And second, when Roy Scheider, when Brody is in it, he's just been slapped by the mother.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there at the kitchen table, and his son is like mimicking him.
Yeah.
And they're doing that little scene, and that's such a wonderful character moment that you don't get in these big horror movies nowadays.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, you also see in this movie, you see Spielberg liberally borrowing techniques from other great directors,
right?
Like Hitchcock,
right?
The zoom. What's it called? Like the zoom.
Oh yeah,
the zoom flare.
When
you're changing
when you're changing the perspective and zooming in at the same time. Essentially, it's a combination of using a track shot. You're moving the camera and pulling the zoom away at the same time. And what happens is you get that great shot where Brody is sitting on the beach and he sees the shark eat the Kittner kid, and and then the music. Now here's the thing.
Oh yeah, I mean the music.
I remember the first time I ever saw Jaws was in 8th grade music class with Dale Roberge as my music teacher. Yes. Because she wanted to teach us the importance of music. Mm-hmm. So she put it on and said, okay, we're watching Jaws. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't go back. I can't go back to my freshwater beach or use a toilet for a week. But she's like, okay, I'm going to turn the sound all the way down. And I just want you to watch it for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And all they do is they show just the scene with Chrissy running, going in the water, getting pulled down, and then, getting, tossed around, and that's it. And then it cuts to the guy passed out.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
That's all we watched. Then she's like, okay, you can tell what's happening. How do you feel? Like, so then she turned the music on. We went back, and we listened to it, and the music just makes it. And then we did the same thing again with, what's his name's boat?
Quint.
Not Quint.
Ben Gardner.
Ben Gardner's boat.
Yeah.
The burnt one? The one that's...
The one that you see the body in.
So,
yeah.
Oh
my God, that freaked
so
me out.
then, Hooper goes down, no sound, head pops out, meh. Do it again. That shock of music. He's like, ugh.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean...
And the thing is, every piece of suspense music since then is like
It's
a riff.
emulated.
It's a riff of that.
And even that is essentially emulating
Psycho.
Bernard Herrmann. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, that for most of the movie, that score, that theme, is what represents the shark. The theme is the character of the shark.
You can't see the shark. You might as well hear the shark, and this is how you're hearing the shark.
And that's why, like, it's kind of funny. When Quint's got the fishing pole, and it starts clicking. That's why I don't think that was the actual shark, because there is no music.
Right.
The theme does not play during that scene.
Right. Yeah. But that's only after you've watched it 1,000 times.
Oh yeah.
If you don't own this movie on Blu-ray, God's sakes, run out and go get it.
The Blu-ray is such a great cut.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
It is a gorgeous piece, and I remember.
And you think it would not hold up,
right?
But it does.
It does.
Even on Blu-ray, high def Blu-ray, it holds up. You're like, wow. Yeah. Like Star Wars. You know, when I got the Star Wars Blu-ray, there's some scene. It's like, okay.
You notice how dirty it is.
You notice how dirty it is, but you also, me being a model builder and stuff like that. I can really tell. Yeah. With high def. Right. Yeah, that's a model. I can really tell.
Yeah.
Jaws does a pretty good job again because you got to work with. You have to work with less. You have to work around the deficiencies of the shark and everything else. It works.
The shark really only looks fake
when you
towards the end, and you're actually looking at it. It's just like flailing around. They're trying to get the barrels in his mouth.
The funny thing is, though, I've heard that Spielberg, I guess, eventually was complaining about Spielberg about the tank at the end, blowing up the tank, and Spielberg basically told him, if I've brought him this far, I can take them anywhere. Yeah. And it's true. I mean,
the guy, he's a genius.
Yeah.
You don't care that the shark looks fake because you're already invested in the movie.
Right.
And you want Brody to survive.
Yeah.
And smile, you son of a
bitch. Yeah.
Dude, that is one of the best ending lines ever. Oh, well, not ending lines, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's funny, though, that, they gotta use the barrel and kick back. Miles away from shore.
I mean,
where another shark is waiting for
15, 20 miles away.
Remember, they were already. Quentin was pushing the
ship back.
And you could actually see the shore during that final bit, so they weren't too far off.
All right, so let's move on to the next one.
Do I like the Jaws?
1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I have a weird relationship with this movie.
I haven't seen this one in ages.
I haven't seen it in ages, but
it's long. It takes a long time to get where it's going.
It's kind of tedious in bits.
You know what the funny thing? You know what movie? It's weird. I'm going to say this. You know what movie I compare it to a lot? The Exorcist. The reasoning why is that The Exorcist doesn't take place in that one bedroom with Reagan and the priest.
Yeah.
It takes place all over the world while they're trying to do all this stuff. And that's the same thing that goes with Close Encounters.
Well, yeah, Close Encounters of the Third Kind is kind of an anthology.
Right.
That's all tied in together.
In one movie.
One movie.
Yeah. The cinematic scenes on there are some of the greatest scenes Spielberg has ever directed. Yeah. The thing with the lights in the mailboxes. Yeah. The tower made of mashed potatoes and then of clay as it's driving him insane. Yep. And then at the end, that ship. Yeah. That ship is one of the most beautiful motherships I have, to this day, have seen in a movie.
The only thing these phrases have in common are 5 signals.
I hope somebody's taking all this down.
What are we saying to each other?
It seems they're trying to teach us a basic tonal vocabulary.
It's the first day of school, fellas.
And I'm not gonna lie. The scene where the kid gets taken. That's a pretty horrifying scene.
And that mom was the mom in Christmas Story.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
All in all, it's the kind of movie I remember. It always played second fiddle to Star Wars.
All right.
It did better in its. I think it actually did better in its re-release in '78 because people were like, "I've seen Star Wars 18 times. Let me go see this now."
And they're like,
It's long.
It's a long
2.5 hour long movie. The director's cut's even longer, and they do show
the special edition.
They show you more stuff, which actually I think works. I actually ran out and bought this on DVD when it came out. I think it's a great movie. But again, this is the kind of movie too that really works with the Williams score, though.
But you know what? And we'll discuss this further down. But this kind of showcases what one of Spielberg's weakness. What can be a weakness for him sometimes when he does big spectacle movies like that is sometimes he loses the plot.
Yeah.
Trying to resolve what is this movie about.
And you know what? Deep down, Richard Dreyfuss' character, not a good character.
No. Like
he abandoned his kids and his family.
Yeah, like cinematically, the way it's shot and everything, it is a beautiful movie. Plot-wise, though, you're like, come on,
do something!
Yes! Line it down just a little bit, just a smidge.
Yeah. So, I think the thing is with this movie is that I think that the ending is worth the journey.
Yes.
It sticks the landing.
It does.
It just sticks the landing.
I just wish I'd gotten there a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Right, it needed a little bit more brevity.
Right.
Yeah. All
right. Next up, what Chris from Chris's Cultural Corner says is the worst movie Spielberg ever made. 1979's 1941.
Because
I vehemently disagree with this.
Well, go ahead.
I think this movie gets a lot of undeserved hate, and I don't know what. Maybe it's me. I think this movie is hilarious. It is. I think it's so funny.
From all the reviews, yeah, it is just you.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't well received.
It's a weird movie to classify. It doesn't really feel like a Spielberg movie. It feels more like a National Lampoon movie.
It feels like it's a Zemeckis movie.
Well,
right,
I mean,
with the scope of a Spielberg.
Just look at the stars. It's got Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi. So I mean,
it's got Tim Matheson. Come on,
it's got the comedic ingredients there, but for some reason, it just doesn't quite click.
I loved it.
It's one of those movies.
Every time it's on, I will stop and watch it.
I need to watch it again. I remember I almost bought it when it came out on widescreen VHS. Mm-hmm. Only because it's the kind of movie you can't watch in a pan and scan.
Yeah.
No. It does look beautiful. But you're right. It suffers from the sins of not doing as well. Right. It's a big, expensive flop with Spielberg's name attached to it.
Exactly. Like I said, it doesn't. It's not one of the greatest movies. But it doesn't deserve the hate it gets either. I don't think.
Some things I've heard about it is that Spielberg is great at doing movies with comedic moments in it.
Yeah,
but he's not good at comedy. A good comedic director.
And I will say this though, in terms of the visuals, it really kind of set the template for what early '80s movies look like.
Well,
to an extent, yeah. Again, it ends the same way that Animal House ends.
Yeah.
A lot of little quick bits.
But a lot of that cinematography and a lot of the art direction is very 80s.
Yeah.
Even though it's a movie set in 1941, it's got a very 80s feel to it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
even though it came out in 79.
Right.
Well, Spielberg was looking ahead.
Yep. All right.
Oh, he set the tone.
Yeah.
Speaking of looking ahead, 1981, my personal favorite.
There's no argument with this one.
There is no arguing with this one. My personal favorite, as well as Lisa Dinocour Krause's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
What does this ark look like?
There's a picture of it right here. That's it.
God. Yes, that's just what the Hebrews thought.
Now what's that supposed to be coming out of there?
Lightning. Fire. Power of God or something.
I love this one. It's not my favorite.
No, it's not my favorite.
Right.
It's not my favorite. But there is no denying this movie's greatness.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
The way I always put it is, there is no wrong answer when you say which is your favorite Indiana Jones movie, unless it's Temple of Doom or Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And you know, it's funny. This is only one of 2 franchises that Spielberg actually directed sequels for.
Yeah.
I mean,
so he must really love Indy.
If you look at 1941, you had some of the comedic talents at the peak of their power, and he couldn't quite pull it off. This one, he had George Lucas at the peak of his power.
Yep.
He had Harrison Ford at the peak of his power. He had Steven Spielberg at the peak of his power, and it combined perfectly well.
You know what this movie illustrates? George Lucas can write a story.
Yeah.
If you let somebody else direct it,
should be kept far away from the director's
He should also not be allowed to write the screenplay.
Yeah.
Correct.
And this was Kasdan and Kaufman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I think this is my favorite of the Spielberg movies, I love Indiana Jones in general. This is my favorite because it's more of a pure adventure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Than the other two. When we get to the other ones, they do build up more of the comedy. This is more of a pure, and because it's the first, because it introduces you to the character, it introduces you to some of these are some of the wildest stunts.
Oh, yeah.
I actually think the truck scene is a better overall stunt than any other stunt in any of the other 3 movies. The one where he goes underneath the truck and climbs, uses his whip, gets dragged, pulls himself back up. Yeah,
he comes up the grill and then punches the guy out.
Yeah.
You know what? For me, it's a toss between this one and the tank scene from Last Crusade.
Yeah,
but this one is so good. And it's funny the scene where it shows the crate.
Yeah,
and it with the Nazi symbol, and the Nazi symbol gets burned off.
Yes,
that was kind of added as an afterthought because Spielberg, who was a Jewish director, he watched the movie. Was like, wait a minute, we have no mention of the Nazis hating the Jews, not a single moment. And so they threw in that line and that moment in.
I am uncomfortable with this Jewish relic.
Yeah, they threw in that line as well.
It is. I mean, this movie is undeniably, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, so there's really no point really getting into it. This movie is a repeat view forever movie.
Oh, forever! Yeah. I will. If it's on Spike, or what used to be Spike, if it's on, I will stop and I will watch it. I cannot
wait to show this to my children.
And
I love this movie.
Damn, what's her name?
Karen Allen.
Who
doesn't love Karen Allen
in this movie?
Everything in this movie is awesome.
Everybody was.
All right, so let's move on to 1982. This is kind of the big one, the one that really, really, really made him. And that is E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
If you don't shed a tear at the end of this movie, you have no soul, and I feel pity for you.
All we're trying to say is maybe you just probably imagined it.
I couldn't have imagined it.
Maybe it was a pervert or deformed kid or something.
A deformed kid.
Maybe an elf or a leprechaun.
It was nothing like that, penis breath.
Elliot! Sit down.
Dad would believe me.
Maybe you ought to call your father and tell him about it.
I can't. He's in Mexico with Sally.
I was 10 years old.
I have bittersweet memories of this movie because when I went to see this movie, it was either a choice between. My uncle took me, and I went with it was my uncle, me, and my 2 cousins, and we had a choice. It was a rerun of Empire Strikes Back or E.T.
Yeah.
Me being the oldest, my cousins were 2 and 4 years younger than me. They chose E.T. So guess what we saw?
But you know what? There is no wrong answer in that question.
Right.
I mean, Empire Strikes Back or E.T. You're talking 2 really all-time great movies right there.
Yeah. No, E.T. I mean, there's no denying E.T.
E.T. to me is... It capitalizes on a lot of the types of shots and family dynamics they had in Close Encounters.
Yeah.
And he masters
It's almost like this is the movie that Close Encounters should have been.
Right.
This is the movie that proves that Spielberg is one of the best directors for directing children.
Yeah, when you watch any behind the scenes of him directing children.
He got some emotions out of Drew Barrymore and Henry Thomas.
Yeah.
That I don't think any other director would have been able to get.
And he was good with them. It's like he's an overgrown child.
Yeah.
Well, that's because that's basically what he is.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies too. It just kind of showed how easy he could integrate into the pop zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very small movie, but it's...
Absolutely. This is absolutely a small movie.
This is a very intimate movie.
Yes, very. I mean, honestly, most of it is... I mean, the core behind... I mean, obviously, there's the alien, but there's a core story about a family going through a fairly messy divorce. Which was very close to Spielberg's heart.
Right, exactly. And that's why Dad's in Mexico with Sally.
Yeah, which is where the title comes from.
Right. And we're just trying to figure out why, how they got divorced. Was it really his fault? Maybe it was her fault. I mean,
we don't know.
The kids are playing D&D in her house, and she's like wearing a nightgown and like, oh, hey, you've grown up.
Well, hey.
You 18 yet?
It is Dee Wallace.
It is Dee Wallace, yeah.
And she at that point of time, she was quite the looker.
With her 80s mom hair.
Hey.
The helmet of hair.
Was this before or after The Howling?
Oh, this was after. Howling was 81.
She was really good in that one, too.
No, this movie is a great movie for every occasion.
Mm.
It's good to show you could show younger kids and they're okay with it. I think it gets a lot of slack because it does have a bit of a sentimental, end to it. It's the kind of movie that is designed to make you cry at the end.
Yeah. But I mean, what's also great is that it showcases some more of Spielberg talent because I think like the first half of the movie is shot from like
a kid's height.
Yeah, below the waist.
Right. And we could go on and on, but we're almost a half hour in already before edits, and we have a lot of movies to talk about. So,
moving on.
Next thing I'm going to talk about is Twilight Zone the movie. Do you remember what the name of his...
Kick the Can.
Kick the Can.
Which is basically a precursor to Cocoon, I think.
Right. Quite honestly, it's the most boring of the three.
But it stands out because this was the first time that Spielberg did not work with John Williams.
Really?
Right.
John Williams did not score his segment.
Right. So, I don't ever need to watch Twilight Zone the movie ever again.
The less said, the better.
Well, three people died making the movie.
That too.
So, all right. Next up, and this is more of a
rumor.
This is an urban legend, but it
makes sense.
It is said that he directed Poltergeist, and they just gave Tobe Hooper credit for it.
It makes sense because...
It would make sense.
It is a very Spielbergian movie.
Right. It also looks like it takes place in the same neighborhood as E.T.
The shared universe.
Yeah, exactly.
The E.T. Poltergeist universe.
As the house is collapsing, you see the rainbow go overhead.
Yep. Yeah, the less said about this one, the better, too, because this movie scared the living piss out of me as a child.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie, but there are a couple of scenes that still freak me out. The
maggots.
Yeah, and the face.
Yeah, that's all in the same scene.
Yeah, I know. And that's a hard scene to watch.
Yeah. All right, moving on. 1984's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Kalima.
I like most of the movies except the scenes that Kate Capshaw are in.
Which is many.
Because I really hate her character.
And a movie that instituted PG-13.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this and Gremlins.
Right.
You cheat, Dr. Jones. You cheat. You did full car. You pay now. No mistake. No mistake.
A mistake.
I'm very little. You cheat very big. Dr. Jones, you cheat. You pay money. You owe me 10 cents.
Look at this. Look at this. You accuse me of cheating? You cheated.
You make me poor. No fun.
My major issue with this movie, I don't really think we need to spend a lot of time talking about it because everything that we need to unpack is either going to be in Raiders or Last Crusade.
Yeah.
The thing with Temple of Doom is it's almost like they got caught up in the hype.
Yeah.
This is written by two people who don't know how to write good movies. These are the same people that gave us Howard the Duck.
I mean, it's still a fun movie. I mean, the minecart chase at the end is amazing.
The minecart's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But
I like this. Well, I like the start, the opening.
Oh yeah, the
musical,
fight,
and the thing is,
time for love, Dr. Jones.
I do like Showround. I like Showround a lot.
I think for me, I feel that this movie is more of a romp, and this is more indicative of problems with the blockbusters at this time. That's why, like, Ghostbusters was so revolutionary, because you didn't have big musical cued comedy moments,
right?
Or there wasn't a lot of there was no slapstick in Ghostbusters, whereas there is far too much slapstick.
And you also had beating heart being pulled out of someone's chest.
Well, there's that, yeah. And the other thing too is that when he finally cuts the bridge, and you could tell that they put these mechanized mannequins, because they're just so stiff, and so many Wilhelm screams.
And the matte paintings were so obvious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, obviously, you kind of
and you have the glorious white man revolution at the end.
Yeah, that's true. The one thing about this movie is that you kind of have to own it because no DVD or Blu-ray set doesn't have it.
Yeah, no.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of
It's. I mean,
it's a serviceable blockbuster.
It's a movie I will still watch over again, and I'll just plug my ears whenever Cap shows around and screaming her head off, which he does all the fucking time.
Oh my god, it's awful. Oh. It's so awful.
Well, obviously, Spielberg must have liked it a lot because he married him.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Jonna's least favorite movie from Spielberg.
Well, not because it's a bad movie, mind you.
It's also this is the one that really deviates from anything he's done before.
Right, exactly. And that is The Color Purple, which was also listed as one of Nicole Stacy's favorites.
It's a hard movie to watch.
I've never seen this. A very hard movie to watch. It's very. I think that the Spielberg shots are all there. Like the Spielberg filmmaking playbook is definitely in play here. But this movie is essentially a response to the fact that there were so very few black people in any of his movies.
Well, I mean, he took a chance with an unknown black actress, Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah,
and he brought in the queen of daytime television,
the Oprah
Winfrey, and damn it if they didn't work out.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
It shows he can work with anybody. Anything.
Right. I mean, this is one of those movies that I know I'm supposed to watch all the way through, and I think I've seen it, like, if you combine all the parts that I've watched, I've seen the whole thing once.
I've never seen this movie because it's, from what I hear, it's just such a hard one to watch.
It is. It is a very hard movie to watch. Now, the interesting thing about this movie is that this movie was one of those movies that holds the record of most Academy Award nominations without a single win.
Really?
And Spielberg was not nominated for Best Director for this movie, so that
he was pissed at that.
Well, yeah,
because it was like, you're going to nominate this movie for Best Director and Best Picture, and you're not going to nominate me? What the hell?
Right. I mean, you know who took his slot though? Akira Kurosawa.
Oh, you can't.
So yeah, exactly. So you can't be that pissed.
Well, I'm sure he was at the time.
Yeah, it was the 80s. Everyone was high on coke.
Well, he wasn't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right. So that moves on to 1987 with a movie, honestly, I've never seen. Empire of the Sun.
I haven't either. It was.
I think I saw it once.
It was Christian Bale's film debut.
Yes.
At like 11.
Pre-Iwart. Now you gotta go back and watch all the Batman movies and look for the Iwart.
Yep. I keep forgetting that this was a Spielberg movie.
Yeah. But you know why? Part of it was because it came out the same year as Last Emperor.
And, that's right, yeah.
And there was another movie that came out around the same time that is escaping me. But it was another, like, World War II fly movie.
Okay, now
it was in and around the same time, yeah. I mean, I could just be confusing this with Empire of the Sun, too. That is entirely possible.
Yeah, it's entirely possible, but I like to think that you know a little bit more than that.
Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to look it up real quick before we move on to the next one. So, it was intriguing. I think it was Lasse Hallström that directed the LASSE. What do we got? Lasse Hallström. All right, let's see what we got here. We've got...
Ben Stiller was in this movie?
Who?
Ben Stiller?
Oh, he was probably really young, too.
Yeah, he was dainty. And according to the notes on Wikipedia, while he was performing in this movie, Ben Stiller conceived with the idea of Tropic Thunder.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, no, I must be making that up. I can't find anything, so we don't need to really hang on it.
Alright.
But yeah, no real memory of this movie. But it's the kind of movie that 80s people will be like, this is the kind of thing at GameStop would go, 31 years ago, Empires of the Sun was released.
Oh, okay.
And again, Christian Bale.
All right. Next up, 1989's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Late 14th century Ming Dynasty. Oh, it breaks the heart.
And the head. You hit me, Dad.
I'll never forgive myself.
Don't worry, I'm fine.
Thank God. It's fake. See, you can tell with the cross sections.
No! Dad, get your stuff. We gotta get out of here.
Well, I'm sorry about your head, though. But I thought you were one of them.
Dad, they come in through the doors.
This is my favorite Spielberg movie. I love this movie.
This isn't my favorite Spielberg movie, but I think I like this one just a smidge more than Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Again, like I said, there's no wrong answer as long as one of those two is your answer.
Yeah.
This is inarguably my favorite Spielberg movie. And I love the interplay between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery.
Yeah.
And just at the time we thought, what a perfect way to wrap up the trilogy. Just nice little neat bow.
They ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, the way it's supposed to be.
Right. And it's just, this movie obviously learned the mistakes of the last movie in terms of how to play up comedy that aren't annoying.
Right.
Actually, Paul English did post on Facebook saying that this was his favorite.
Okay. And again, no wrong answer in here. It is an excellent movie.
No, not at all.
There's so many great scenes in it, so many great lines. This is easily the more quotable of the two movies.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, the interplay between him and Sean Connery is it's amazing to see how close to age and they actually are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think about it now, but at the time.
But I mean, the second they first see each other, you completely understand it. The relationship between father and son. And that.
Well, the great thing about it is, it's funny to say it, in a trilogy, but it kind of returned to its roots of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where you're basically globetrotting,
right?
Yeah.
Where Temple of Doom just takes place in India.
It goes from Shanghai to India and leaves you there,
right?
And this one goes from the States to Germany. To
Northern Africa,
and
then to the Middle East, and you're like, and then back to Germany. You're like, okay, great, this is awesome.
And there's that great bit, and this is a great behind the scenes thing where they're at that Nazi rally in Berlin.
Oh yeah.
And they have the guy playing Hitler, and Steven Spielberg was like, "You're doing a great job. I hate you."
But I just at that moment where he, Indy comes face to face with him, and then he signs the journal.
Signs the book, yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a funny moment, but
I named the dog Indiana.
Yeah,
I love that dog.
I love that they brought back both Sala and Brody.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Marcus Brody.
Lost in his own museum.
Yeah. Yep. Marcus Brody's already got a 2-day head start. He speaks 6 languages.
And then you get to see him in Africa. Does anyone here speak ancient Greece?
Or perhaps speak English or perhaps ancient Greek?
And water? No, thank you. Fish McLovin.
It is so. It's such a great movie. It really is. Getting back to that tank scene though. I love the tank scene except for one thing. The very
that
end.
obvious CG.
Oh, that's obvious. That is such a matte and a model.
Oh, that's RoboCop 2 level.
Yeah.
But the great thing about the tank scene, though, is you have Indy on the outside fighting all the Nazis. Meanwhile, you have Brody and Indy's father inside, trying to basically get out of whatever they're doing.
But the payoff from that scene of having Brody, Sala, and Indy Sr. looking over, just crying, and you see Indy come up behind, looking around, and then the
hat blows back,
and then his father hugs him, and then
okay, we gotta go.
Moving on,
and Indy just drops like, huh? What?
There's that great bit too when he's rescuing him from that castle.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
And he's like, "What you did? Can't believe what you did."
Of course.
Son, they're shooting at us. I know, Dad.
This is a new experience for me.
Happens to me all the time.
Come on.
Oh, that's great.
I'm as human as the next man. I was the next man.
I'm gonna go back and watch this again.
I do
love
too.
this movie.
Plus the villainess is played by Alison Doody.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you guys.
Blonde girl. So, all right, moving on to 1989's other. This is when he started doing like 2 movies a year. He'd do his like commercial friendly blockbuster, and then he'd do his Oscar bait.
Well, this was not Oscar.
I don't remember. I don't remember this one. So.
I've never seen this one.
Excuse me. I have no real memory of this movie, other than it's a remake of another movie. I've never seen it.
And it's his third work
collaboration with Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, 1991's Hook.
I love this movie.
Go ahead, Mike. Talk about it.
It's just it's a complete twist on the Peter Pan. It's like, what would happen if Peter Pan had grown up?
It's not a bad movie. I enjoyed it when it first came out. I remember watching it in high school because it came out in 91. When I was senior in high school. When it came out, and I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was a good movie.
Robin Williams as a Peter Pan who wasn't Peter Pan. You had
he had forgotten he was Peter Pan.
Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell, and a scene-chewing Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook,
who soaked up every moment of it. He just loved it.
But the interactions between him and Bob Hoskins Smee.
Don't make a move, Smee. Not a step. My finger's on the trigger. Don't try to stop me, Smee. I'm not a game. This is it. Don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Don't you dare try to stop me this time, Smee. Try to stop me. Smee, you better get up off your ass. Get over here, Smee. I'm coming. Smee, this is not a joke. I'm committing suicide. Don't ever frighten me like that again. I'm sorry.
I think for me, this movie hasn't aged well.
Oh,
I think that's part of the thing. Is this movie came out around a time when there was this very disturbing trend about vilifying the dad that has to work to support his family. This City Slickers, there's like this vilification that you have these responsibilities now because you have a family, because you decided to have sex and procreate. You have responsibilities now. Fuck it, I'm gonna hang out with this fat black kid. And,
oh, that was a cool. He was a fun guy.
I don't know. I wouldn't rank this anywhere near a favorite. Now, it looks beautiful.
And it's like fantastic soundtrack.
That's typical of.
And this is one of the better John Williams.
I like this soundtrack. It's not one of my favorite Williams soundtracks at all. You really like that one.
Yeah, I love this one.
I don't know. It's just I have to go back and watch this again because I know at some point I'm going to have to show the kids this.
Yeah,
I'm worried about the flight effects.
I don't know. I think that's one of the effects that he really pulled off very well.
Right.
Yeah.
They were still using wire rigging then too.
Well, yeah, but so was Superman.
Yeah. Anything else to say about Hook before we move on?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rufy! Oh!
Moving on. In my opinion, probably the last great blockbuster that Steven Spielberg has done, 1993's Jurassic Park.
I'll disagree with that, but this is a fantastic movie.
Oh, and it was so groundbreaking.
This is just a delay. That's all it is. All major theme parks had delays. When they opened Disneyland in 1956, nothing worked.
Yeah, but John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
I can't wait anymore.
This movie you have to see on the big screen.
Oh God!
This was the movie that showed you basically I think Dennis Muren called him into his office at ILM and said, "Look what I can do with this computer," and they're like, "Well, the walls are coming down now. Yep. We can do anything we want."
And plus, I mean, this movie is a clinic in sound editing.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I mean, before this, it was before Jurassic Park, Star Wars set the standard for it. But this just took it to whole new level.
When those brachiosaurus come up at right when you first see them, and then they come down and you boof.
Right.
And then and this is like the first real movie where surround sound really kind of came into its own. I remember when I was in college, my junior year in college, one of my friends, he had in his room, I don't know how he pulled this off, but he had a big, what we considered a big screen TV.
It was 30 inches.
Yeah, well, it was pretty big. Big cathode ray.
Those flat screens.
No, yeah, but he had a full surround sound system, and he had just got the VHS for Jurassic Park, and oh my god, that movie is made for surround sound.
Absolutely.
I mean, just look at the T-Rex chase scene.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That is a clinic on how you do mix practical effects with CG effects.
Yeah.
And combine it with the sound effects. Yeah. It is just a masterful
and
scene.
Especially that first scene when you see the brachiosaurus.
That's the scene I always point out.
Oh, how did they do that?
That scene 25 years ago looks better than some CG does now.
Especially when you bring in the John Williams soundtrack.
Oh, exactly.
The swell right there.
Yeah, it's funny. You see a lot of articles talking about visual effects will point that out, saying CGI nowadays looks so washed out and so just unrealistic, whereas you look at Jurassic Park and it's like, it's perfect. It works.
The skin tones, the skin texture, that all works. Yeah. And it works really well. It's interesting, too, because this movie is one of those movies that the the visual flair of the movie supersedes really kind of your run-of-the-mill, disaster movie.
Yeah.
Yes. But you don't seem to mind it all that much because the special effects are so great. The one thing you don't notice also is how far apart those special effects are.
Yeah.
When you watch that movie. Yeah. Because you go from seeing those dinosaurs to Dennis Nedry doing his thing. Everything else from that point going forward, for most of it until the Gallimimes, is practical effects, models, and, close-up heads and stuff like that.
And,
well, then there's the T-Rex chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the velociraptors in the kitchen scene.
Oh.
That is just... because
that's suspense.
You've got the kids on their own. You have the velociraptors just sniffing them out.
Right. And again, it's the sound editing.
Oh, yeah.
The sound editing works in that because of how they just knock their heads onto... the pans, and you just hear the pans kind of clank.
And those croaking noises that they made to communicate.
It is a phenomenal movie. And again, one of those movies that I can't wait till my kids are just a little older.
And one that you forget that Samuel L. Jackson was in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Hold on to your butts.
All right, moving on. Oh, God, 1993's Schindler's List.
1993.
Yep.
And this is like you said, you got the commercial blockbuster, and then you got the Oscar bait.
This is the one that Chris says is his favorite of Spielberg's movies. I believe also, I think that's what and Catherine was talking about watching
just watched it the other day.
And the scene at the end that got her when they're showing all this living survivors at the time laying the stones on top of his grave. Yeah. And it's between that and the John Williams score with Yitzhak Perlman violin. It's just so intense. By the way, this is a terrible movie to take a date to.
Jesus, Andy.
Yep.
I have actually never seen this movie.
Really?
I didn't realize Schindler's List was this old, though. 25 years?
25 years. This won him his first Oscar. Both for director and producing it. This is an amazingly made movie. It tells an incredible story. The fact that you were able to convey the whole thing in black and white with those little splotches of color.
Yeah.
There are some splotches of color in there that just come back throughout the movie.
Yeah,
and it's just
that little red coat.
The red coat, exactly. The red coat is just there as a focal point, and you just kind of see the progression of that.
Yeah. I've never seen this movie mainly because it's. I know how hard of a movie it is.
It's a tough movie.
It is a very tough movie because it doesn't pull its punches,
and it's incredibly suspenseful too.
Right. There is one scene. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's one scene.
I've seen enough of the movie.
Right. Where all the people in the camp are being herded in.
Yeah.
And they think they're going to be gassed. And it turns out they were just all being showered. And it was just like, it's really tense.
But you don't know.
Right.
Because you know what the history is, and you're like, oh, God. And then you're thinking to yourself, oh, my God, Steven Spielberg's actually going to show this?
Right.
And, I mean, the scenes where they're clearing the ghettos.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, the thing where they're burning the bodies, and it's that scene of Liam Neeson on the horse, and it looks like it's snowing, and that's because it's black and white. All you can see is snow falling, and it's ash.
It's snow. It's ash. Like,
and that's where he sees the red coat again.
Yeah.
And that's...
It's...
I mean, honestly, that... Oscar Schindler is not a good guy.
No, he's not.
He's a good guy that does a really good thing.
He's a guy of questionable character that does a really good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
He's I don't want to say conflicted, but he's the imperfect hero. Is what
exactly. And I like that. I mean, I'm sure that there was a lot of shit we never saw
that we don't.
You don't want to see it. You don't want to ruin the character, but. At the same time, I do like that they showed him as being a flawed person who did right. He did right in one very specific thing and saved millions of people.
Right, and that's the thing. It's the realization that throughout history, the people who we think are heroes, they're just human beings.
Right,
and they're imperfect vessels.
And Ralph Fiennes.
Oh, Ralph Fiennes. This was his first major movie, and he is such a find. He is so evil and so not just, but very debonair and charming at the same time.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the worst kind of evil, because on the surface, he gives this air of just being almost likable.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's that one bit where he decides that he's going to be benevolent.
Yeah.
And he tries it out, and people are screwing up things. He's like, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, and then just. He looks at himself in the mirror and tries to reconcile that with himself. And then he goes back outside and shoots somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just pulls out a rifle and boom.
Yep. It really is. The scene that they introduced him. There's the one scene where he's, they're touring the ghetto and he's sitting in the truck. And they're just going over there, why is the top down? I'm fucking freezing.
Yeah.
And then when he wakes up, and he puts on his pants and his suspenders, and he just does target practice in the yard with the prisoners.
Ugh.
It's not a movie you watch for laughs. It's not
it's a hard movie.
It is, but I think it's definitely required viewing.
I don't know. It's just I know the subject matter, and it's the subject matter. It never really...
It takes a lot of force.
It takes a lot of force to do it. But I do think that you need... This is the kind of movie you need to not acknowledge exists, and that you need to watch to acknowledge that these awful fucking things actually
I know they
happen.
I know they happen, which is why I don't want to see the movie.
Right. But, for someone like myself or Joe, who've got children, we need to lead the next generation of non-Holocaust deniers.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right, moving on. 4-year gap in between movies, by the way.
Shocking, surprisingly enough.
Yes. To my least favorite Steven Spielberg movie.
It's not my least
Lost
favorite.
World Jurassic Park.
Surprisingly enough, it's not one of my favorites, so it's not my least favorite.
I think this is this doesn't feel like a Spielberg movie. This feels like they brought him in to call a couple of shots and then let somebody else direct it.
There's still some Spielbergian shot. I mean, right in the beginning where the kid is on the beach.
Oh, with and then the what are they called? The Compiosaurus.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Procompusagnuses.
Yeah, the Compies.
Yeah,
which were in the book for Jurassic Park, and then they decided to use them for this.
As much as you say you don't like this movie, there are two cases where I've read the book and I've seen the movie, and I think the movie is better than the book. Both of them are on this list.
The book is dog shit.
Every other chapter is just this long dissertation on chaos theory.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about
boring?
Well, if you want to talk about a cash grab, Michael Crichton's book is more of a cash grab.
Oh, absolutely.
Ian Malcolm was only mostly dead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he wrote it after Jurassic Park the movie came out.
Right. That's just like Gump and Company, which was the follow-up book that was written after Forrest Gump made all that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book isn't very good. So yes, this is an improvement on the book, but it still feels wrong in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
It very much is more of a, we need to preserve this land and not let the poachers, played by Pete Postlethwaite, take the dinosaurs and profit off of them.
I mean, the funny thing is, this is a lot of people consider this to be one of Spielberg's lesser efforts. I mean, the last one that we really talked about that was really kind of one of his lesser efforts was 1941. So it's been a good run.
It's been a very good run. I mean, there's some like Always. No one talks about Always.
Yeah.
Most people forget it's a Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with this one too, they decided to bring in more archetype characters.
Yeah.
With all those dinosaur hunters, and then like the one dude who was like the big fat dude with the big red beard who.
Right.
I guarantee when they Foleyed his death, all they did was have somebody bite into an apple. Because that's what it sounded like.
And you had Julianne
Moore.
And
Vince Vaughn.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Vince Vaughn as the the photographer who was really a secret agent or something.
Right.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff Goldblum is really the only one worth watching in this movie.
Oh, what was the deal with his, precocious teenage daughter?
Right. That's just there to get the kids... the kids have somebody to identify with.
I like the kids in the first movie a hell of a lot more than I liked her.
Oh, yeah, no, she was annoying.
Yeah.
And her plot-specific, use only when necessary things like gymnastics.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on. Another serious movie released that year, 1997's Amistad.
Another hard movie to watch.
This is another movie people forget exists.
This is
This is Anthony Hopkins, and this is the movie that introduced the world to Jim and Hansu.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Wasn't Matthew
McConaughey was in this too.
Yeah.
It's a movie about a slave ship. Again, very hard to do.
Very hard to watch.
Yeah, very hard to watch. I don't think I've ever actually seen this one either.
I've seen it once.
This one just seems like he'd done Schindler's List. It was a really personal story for him. So he's like, okay, so I've dealt with the Jews in their story.
Now you got to deal with slavery.
Let's go back to slavery here. I've never seen this one.
Yeah, neither have I. And again, it's a tough one to get through.
I've heard it. It's good. It's just not one of his really standout efforts.
All right, so let's move on to one of his more standout efforts, 1998's Saving Private Ryan.
Ryan... I don't know anything about Ryan. I don't care. Man means nothing to me. It's just a name. But if... if going to Ramel and finding him so he can go home, if that earns me the right to get back to my wife, well, then that's my mission.
Wow. Yeah. This movie...
I saw this in the theater.
Holy shit. Judged whole cloth
on the
by the first half hour of the movie.
Yes.
Whole cloth.
Yes.
This is the most intense battle sequence I have ever seen filmed.
Well, it was... that's what really stood... when you go in and you see that first 20 minutes... actually, a lot of people I've heard said that for them, the first 20 minutes... kind of overshadow the rest of the movie, so
it does.
They don't feel the rest of the movie kind of stands up to it.
And there are some very intense scenes in that movie, within the movie themselves. I'll get into that in a second. I remember my mother told me that she and my stepfather went to go see it. My stepfather fought in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. He was ashen. Yeah. After that sequence, he can't watch that again.
Yeah, I've heard stories. A lot of stories of even World War II veterans are like, okay, this is a little too realistic. A little too much.
This was the scene. If you're going to say that one scene won a director an Oscar, it's this scene.
Yeah. Well, Schindler's List kind of showed you that Spielberg can do movies where he pulls no punches.
Right.
And he just doubled down with this one.
It's also rare, too, to make he didn't make a lot of rated R movies.
Right, yeah.
So, to be able to have to take the gloves off and make this very physically violent movie.
Yeah.
But it is a very good movie. There are some really wrenching moments in it.
That last scene. Oh my god.
Well, there's that one bit when one of their guys, I think it was Giovanni Ribisi, gets shot.
Yeah.
And he's asking for morphine to dull the pain, even though they know he dies, and they can't waste the morphine on him. So Tom Hanks takes the stone, pushes it against his leg, and just makes him think that he got the morphine, just to let him die with his mind at peace. And
Spielberg did something that no other director's ever done. Kill Tom Hanks.
Yep.
Well, and this was their first work together, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
I mean, this was a combination made in heaven, I think.
Yeah. The other scene that really just took my breath away for how devastating it was that scene where there was the German soldier that they let go.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he's still fighting them.
Yeah.
And then he kills that one soldier. He grabs his knife and he starts sticking to his throat, and he's just like, shh, go to sleep. Shh. And just like, it was terrible. It just, oh my god, it's so hard to watch. Anything else on Saving Private Ryan, gentlemen, before we move on?
No.
All right. Next up, 2001's AI, Artificial Intelligence.
Oh, God, I hate this movie.
This was a movie that Stanley Kubrick was going to do.
Yep.
And he willed it to Steven Spielberg, for better or worse.
Worse. This is my least favorite Spielberg movie. Diane absolutely loathes this movie. She hates it with a passion.
I'm not a big fan of Kubrick, so I think this is probably better, but...
My takeaway from this, as well as Ready Player One, is that I think if Spielberg has any regret in life, it's that he wasn't Stanley Kubrick. He really tries to direct this like a Kubrick movie.
In technical terms, it's a well done.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful looking movie. It's got all the, to me, it's got all the Spielberg hallmarks, directing wise. But the plot, again, it's one of his sometimes glaring weaknesses when he tries to do big budget movies.
It's three movies compressed into one.
Work. And I hated the ending. Oh my god,
that's the thing. I think this movie suffers because the ending is so.
The problem is the thing about the movie is it puts you through such an emotional roller coaster for this little this boy-like AI artificial intelligence.
Hey, Joel Osment.
And then the end, and you're just like, I wanted to reach out and punch Steven Spielberg for doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, how could you do that to him?
Because that's the only way they could have logistically ended the movie.
Oh,
There are some. The thing about this movie that works so well, though, is how sincere David is to his mother.
Yes, but that's the thing. This movie strings you along emotionally. And it wrenches your heart emotionally, and it toys with it. It toys with you. And then to end it like that, and this movie made me. Generally, movies don't make me mad.
Yeah,
this movie pissed me off.
I've never actually seen this movie.
I own this on DVD.
This is just one of his efforts that was like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah,
and keep it that way because.
Well, I mean, for one, I'm really not a fan of Stanley Kubrick, as I said, and so hearing him trying to
Stanley Kubrick is an acquired taste.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, one I've never decided to acquire because I've seen some of his movies. But yeah, it's just okay, sure. It's a movie about robots. I've seen movies about robots. I don't care.
Right, but it's not so much about robots, but more like the emotional attachment one robot has with
is
one
like,
human.
Is it just because? Is it?
Yeah, I've heard.
Is it real because it has emotions, kind of type of thing?
I've heard of that movie. It's called Bicentennial Man.
So, another one. Bicentennial Man is by far a worse movie than this one is.
God. I hate having my emotions manipulated.
Can we move on to the next movie?
Yes.
Because the next movie I have seen. I've enjoyed.
Okay. You want to say which movie that is?
Yeah, 2002, Minority Report.
Oh my god, I forgot he directed this one.
I don't care for this one. I don't dislike it. I just don't care for it.
It's the Tom Cruise factor, isn't it?
No, actually, it has to do with... I just don't think about this movie. This movie left me just kind of like, okay, it was there. I saw it in the theater. And
I enjoyed this back when I was a fan of Tom Cruise before he went all batshit insane.
Yeah.
That's been a ways back, all right.
No, before that, Minority Report came out before he started doing the jumping on the couch stuff.
Right.
But
not by far.
Not by far. But it was before that. But no, I enjoyed it, and simply because Steven Spielberg, this movie had a way of connecting with you, even though it takes place in the future.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you think about what's possible.
Well, I mean, it's also based on Philip K. Dick.
Right. I love Philip K. Dick.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy this movie. I think it's a fun. I mean, it's not particularly deep.
No, but it's not.
It does have some deep moments.
A lot of the themes are deep.
Yeah.
Like if you think about what would we do as a society if we had the ability to predict crime?
Right. Well, I mean, it's whole like, do we want to be safe and secure, or do we want to have freedom?
Right.
Right.
But I mean. But it's also a very tense and suspenseful movie too.
Right.
Like, just seeing the chase scenes and seeing how what's gonna happen. It's kind of like what? It's kind of like a weird Memento. You know the movie Memento. It's kind of like a twist on that. Like what's going to happen. How does it resolve itself?
Right. Have you heard about the really bummer ending?
No.
There's a theory out there that's saying that all the ending is actually just a hallucination in his mind while he's in the freezer.
Oh, wow.
That's a bummer ending. Yeah.
If you want another bummer ending, next time you watch Grease, just remember the whole thing is in Sandy's head while she's dying of drowning.
I also have I've thought of a prologue to Jaws that could make that movie completely stupid.
Yep.
Where the scar that he's got.
Yep.
He got Brody got that while he was in New York fighting off a devil worshiper whose spirit inhabited the shark. He was hunting him down.
Yeah, that is pretty stupid.
Yeah. See?
All right, let's move on. Also, 2002, Catch Me If You Can.
The truth is, I knew it was you. Now, maybe I didn't get the cuffs on you, but I knew.
Oh, people only know what you tell them, Carl.
Well, then tell me this, Barry Allen, Secret Service. How did you know I wouldn't look in your wallet?
The same reason the Yankees always win. Nobody can keep their eyes off the pinstripes.
The Yankees win because they have Mickey Mantle.
This is a fun. I enjoy
this is a fun movie.
I actually haven't seen this one, but this is the one. This is out of all the ones I haven't seen of his. This is the one I want to see most.
It's a fun movie.
It is.
I
really enjoy this one. It doesn't feel like a Spielberg movie, but there's a lot of really cool things about it. It feels more like a Scorsese movie just because of the way Spielberg uses.
It feels
DiCaprio.
No, it's not. I don't think it's. I see it more as a Soderbergh movie.
It feels like a Scorsese movie because it's got Leo DiCaprio in it.
But no, the way it's structured, the way it runs, it feels more like a Soderbergh movie to me.
Right, like an Ocean's 11 type of.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Like a heist movie. Yeah.
But I've seen some of the scenes between Leo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, and those are some really, especially
those are two actors at the top of their game.
When they're on their phone talking to each other.
Yeah,
that is a really well done scene.
And Tom Hanks' accent, while a little cartoonish, actually kind of works.
Yeah.
I love that. There's that bit where he's in the car with those guys, and you need to lighten up. Yeah, I can tell jokes. Oh, go ahead, tell us a joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? Go fuck yourself. Christopher Walken.
Oh, that's
right. People tend to forget that he's in this because he was nominated for an Oscar for it, but people don't talk about him anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
He's nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And just being the dad that really believed in his son.
Yeah.
Wanted to believe everything, and it killed him that his son essentially was a con artist.
A true life con artist.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed this one a lot. The music in this is some of Williams' best because it's so different.
Yes.
From Minority Report, one of the things I do remember from watching Minority Report in the theater was the soundtrack sounded exactly like the Attack of the Clones soundtrack that I had heard 3 weeks before. It's like, oh my god, is he just mixing these things now?
Yeah, he kind of was.
Yeah. All right, moving on. 2004, another one of my least favorite Spielberg movies. Don't really need to get into it. It's The Terminal.
Another Tom Hanks
movie. It's there. It's not particularly special at all.
That's what I hear.
All right. Moving on, 2005, War of the Worlds.
Another Tom Cruise special.
This one's actually pretty... I really like this one.
This movie stands on one scene alone, and it's the scene when the aliens first attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that scene is...
And only because it's got a Mustang in it for me.
God damn it, Joe!
It's not just a Mustang, it's a Shelby Mustang.
This one is an interesting case because, I mean, it's obviously the first Spielberg movie that started production after 9/11. Mm-hmm. So that's the feel that he wanted to get with it. There's a great bit in the documentary where they're showing Tom Cruise looking in the mirror afterwards and he's patting off all the dust and realizing those are human remains that are...
Oh, that's right, because you remember they're using the... I don't know if they're using them as fuel, but you see them suck up, and all of a sudden you see like being going through a chipper shredder.
No, because when the aliens first, they're using that heat beam just disintegrating people.
Right, but then there's also the other scene where they're going to the farm where you're seeing the humans getting sucked up, and all of a sudden you just see like this spray.
Yeah, like the red vine things.
And that was, I mean, that is a very intense scene. The rest of the movie is not a good movie.
It's fun.
His character's a jerk. He's being unnecessarily antagonistic to his son. Unnecessarily so.
But Tim Robbins, that's a fun character.
I had a lot of difficulties with that too, and that's just because he's just such a kook. And then the end. The payoff at the end. Well, you see... Because this is the Morgan Freeman narration.
Well, I mean...
Well, you see, we had the germs, and they didn't realize that, even though they lived underground all those many centuries.
You realize it's the same way. It was the same way with the 1956
right, exactly.
movie.
But the thing is, they didn't show that.
1880 book.
Yeah. They didn't even show that. It was just like, they just have Morgan Freeman. Hello, I'm Morgan Freeman. The movie ended because everybody got germs and died. Good night, I'm Morgan Freeman.
So you're complaining about a book that's 120 years old?
No, I'm complaining about how they decided to wrap it up just by we don't get to see them defeat the aliens at all.
You never do! In every single interpretation of War of the Worlds, you never see the aliens get defeated.
I would like some kind of payoff. Payoff via narration was not a good idea. Books are different.
Yeah.
All right. 2005. The only reason why young Jews get laid at nightclubs anymore is because of Eric Bana in Munich.
And Daniel Craig.
And Daniel Craig. Well, yeah, but this is if you've ever seen the movie Knocked Up, you have to thank Eric Bana. So all the Jews in this club are getting laid because of Eric Bana in Munich. Munich is one of those movies. First of all, you forget it's a Spielberg movie
because it's different. It's much different.
It is different. With this one, and they showed this in the documentary as well.
Yeah.
The bombing scene and how intense that whole thing was.
Yeah.
And the fact that the movie does not have a neat ending.
No, it doesn't.
Well, the whole thing doesn't have.
It's based on a true story, and it's just
true story does not have a neat
right.
ending.
The Israelis just.
I mean, the way
really lost their souls over that.
The way they took out the they assassinated each one, one by one, cold-blooded murder.
Dude, the guy with the groceries,
yeah,
and they just shoot right through it,
right,
over and over again.
Oh. Yeah,
it's one of those movies where you're kind of in a way, it's kind of conflicted.
It's basically telling the story of these people that, in order to avenge their people
and to show that they're not going to be messed with,
right?
They have to become what they're fighting against,
right,
exactly. This is such it's a beautiful looking movie, but it is, again, it's one of those movies. Watch it once, you never need to watch it again.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
Now we're getting to for me, my least favorite Spielberg movie.
Oh God, 2008's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I think I made it through the first 30 minutes, and I'm like,
I saw it in the theater. This was our first date movie after Scarlett was born.
I saw this in the theater as well.
Oh,
because it's a Steven Spielberg movie with Indiana Jones is back.
Indiana Jones is back and better than ever. Oh God, no. Shia LaBeouf. He is so wrong on so many levels for this movie. He doesn't fit. He's playing Sam Witwicky, but in Indiana Jones time.
Yeah. And Karen Allen is kind of ineffective as
she's
Marion.
there. She's there to carry the second to third act.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I mean, they hired so many great actors for this movie.
John Hurt,
Roy Winstone, Cate Blanchett, and they're all squandered
big time. Oh, this is honestly, this is the movie where not even Spielberg could tell George Lucas, no, we can't do that.
No,
we shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Do you think we should do this? No, we shouldn't. But we're doing it anyway.
I really think we should do it right that
Yeah,
way. I want the
it's funny.
monkeys to swing.
I don't have an issue with the aliens. It's just the whole Shia LaBeouf, and they're just
the movie as a whole is just
if I can accept the Ark of the Covenant,
right,
and some guy getting his heart pulled out while he's still alive, then aliens aren't going to bother me.
This movie feels more like it. Out of all of these movies we've talked about so far with Spielberg, this is the movie that feels like it was made by committee.
Yes. Yeah. This movie was just squandered moment after squandered moment after squandered moment.
Yes.
There is a kernel somewhere in that movie of a good action adventure movie that it just has pissed it away.
Yep. All right, let's move on before we anger the blood anymore. 2001's War Horse. Haven't seen it?
Never saw it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Autumn and I saw it in the movie theater because it got nominated for Best Picture. We had a lot of friends recommend it. It is boring as fuck.
I've heard that.
Yeah. 2011 also gave us his only animated feature.
I really like this
I
one.
enjoyed this movie.
The Adventure of Tintin.
I really like this movie.
I love this movie. I watched it again last week, right before we did our...
I've watched it 3 times already because my kids like it.
Right. This movie, honestly, out of all of the mocap movies that Zemeckis and he were doing, this is the only one that uses the technology right.
Well, because it doesn't try and make them realistic.
Right. If you look at Tintin, I mean, he looks very much like he does in the comic strips.
Right. Right, exactly.
Same
That's the best use for this.
Right, exactly.
And Andy Serkis as Captain Haddock
is
fantastic.
It is perfect. Don't
you get it? We failed.
Failed? There are plenty of others willing to call you a failure. A fool. A loser. A hopeless souse. Don't you ever say it of yourself. You send out the wrong signal. That is what people pick up. Do you understand? You care about something, you fight for it. You hit a wall, you push through it.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait for the sequel.
Oh, yeah. Peter Jackson is eventually gonna do
Eventually, yeah. The beauty of these movies are they take next to no time, in the scope of an animated film to direct and make.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is a very enjoyable movie. I think for this movie, if I took any issue at all with it, it's the fact that the marketing for this movie made you feel like you needed to know this character already in order to enjoy it. And I think
you didn't really.
Well, with the movie itself, your introduction to the character.
Hey, if you took Madame Pertel's French class in high school, you know who Tintin was.
Which I didn't.
Okay,
I took Russian because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, well, I mean, from 7th grade to 9th or 10th grade, I spent 3 hours at the Concord Library every school day.
Yeah.
I read through every single Tintin book.
Every French class, he's either reading Tintin or Asterix and Gaul.
Oh, I read those too.
And I watched the cartoons too.
Oh, okay. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is
actually first. How perfect were Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost?
Oh.
You couldn't have gotten anyone else as Thompson and Thompson.
Nope, you couldn't have. Nope, it worked.
All right, so Julie Murphy calls the next movie Lincoln, Her favorite Spielberg movie, an excellent portrayal of my favorite president. It really captures true essence and shows internal struggles, not just his victories. Have you seen Lincoln, Mike?
I have never seen Lincoln.
Joe?
This is another one I would like to see.
It's tough to say that this is a good Spielberg movie because this movie is all based on Daniel Day-Lewis's performance.
Well, that's
it. That is the scaffolding that holds this movie
together. That's the thing with any Daniel Day-Lewis movie. It's all about him.
It's all about him, exactly. So it's very tough.
There will be blood.
Yeah.
He owns... His presence owns any movie he's in.
Well, because he's that kind of actor.
Right.
Method.
Yes.
Damn method actors.
But so with that said, though, it just doesn't feel like much of a Spielberg movie.
No. Well,
even in the historical aspect of some of these other movies we've already talked about, like Amistad or Private Ryan or Color Purple.
Or Schindler's List.
Yeah, Schindler's List, exactly. There's not a whole lot there to lend it to the Spielberg oeuvre.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a Daniel Day. It's more of a Daniel Day-Lewis movie than it is a Spielberg,
right?
And that's what everybody talks about is his performance.
Well, I mean, it got them both an Oscar,
right?
I'll get him an Oscar. It didn't get Spielberg an Oscar.
I thought he did win Best.
No, that was the year that Ang Lee won the Best Director. That was the year of Argo, when Argo was nominated for Best Picture, but not Best Director.
Oh, that's right, and Ang Lee won for Best Life of Pi.
Life of Pi, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so moving on. Next one. Now, here's an interesting tie that ties Lincoln with Bridge of Spies, which came out in 2015. These are the only two movies where Spielberg directed an actor to an Oscar.
Oh, that's right.
Mark Rylance.
Yes.
Who?
Mark Rylance. Won
Bridge of
Best
Spies.
Supporting Actor in 2015.
He was the spy.
Okay, I haven't watched The Bridge of Spies, so...
Okay.
All right.
What other, has been another movie? Because that's not a familiar name.
Mark Rylance is now his new go-to guy.
Yeah.
Actually, in this list,
The next
he's
movie will be...
Yeah. He's done a lot of work. He's just, he's a guy in his 50s who's now just become up and coming as an actor.
Okay, now I know.
Did you watch Wolf Hall?
Yeah.
Did Diane watch Wolf Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was Cromwell in that.
I know. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
I haven't seen it. Like
What,
Bridge of Spies.
I've seen a lot of clips from it, but no,
Yeah.
never seen the movie all the way.
And I'm assuming Joe hasn't seen it.
Nope.
I've heard mixed things.
Yeah.
I've heard it's good, just not one of his more powerful efforts.
Right. It's also his return to working with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
So next up on the list is 2016's the BFG, which we all know stands for the Big Fucking Giant.
No, it's the Big Fucking Gun.
Okay.
Doom players will know what I'm talking about.
Yep, I've not seen this.
You really? Because I know your daughter loves the book.
And I think Diane took them to see the movie, but I myself have not seen it.
This movie was actually Spielberg's least grossing movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising, to be honest.
It was I think financial flop.
It came out at a bad time of year, first of all. This was a Christmas release.
Yeah.
Rogue One had just taken a unsuspecting nation by storm. It is by no means a bad movie. This is one of these hybrid mocap and
live
action movies. There's something about it that feels off. The special effects in this movie feel off. There's a lot of good intentions in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the humor doesn't work, especially towards... You've seen it, right?
No.
Yeah, okay. I'm the only one who's seen it, though.
I've heard that there's a lot of fart jokes.
There are an awful lot of fart jokes in it.
Well, there's a lot of fart jokes in the book.
Right. But it takes you off guard.
We're all doll books. So.
Right. Yeah. The majority of the fart jokes take place in the third act, so they're not really all that welcome after everything is all said and done.
Yeah.
It is a fine movie. It's a good attempt. I don't need to see it again. My kids don't clamor to watch it all the time, so
yeah, it's just I'm sure it's a fine movie. I just don't care. It's.
Yeah. I got nothing to say because I haven't watched the movie.
Gotcha.
So.
Are your kids clamoring to see it again?
No, not really.
No.
All right.
My kid's attention span is nothing. So.
All right, so 2017, last year, brought us another Best Picture nominee, The Post. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Want to see it.
I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah.
I've heard Generally positive, but some mixed.
This is one of these movies that, out of like his later serious movies, got a lot of support early on. I mean, this is like one of those critics award, like those critical year-end award winners of best movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it stars
Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep.
Yeah,
which actually I've heard that Dave generated a lot of buzz. Was a performance of Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep.
Right.
Meryl Streep is another one. Like Daniel Day-Lewis, whenever she's in a movie, she is a.
It automatically becomes
it's all her though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right. So let's move on to one that Joe has not seen. The final movie on our list.
I literally just saw it yesterday.
We're going to keep this...
You can spoil it for me because I don't know if I'm going to be...
Okay. We still need to kind of keep it spoiler-free as it is because people who are listening to this might not have seen it.
Okay.
And that is Ready Player One.
I love this movie.
I was so underwhelmed by this movie.
Again, I love this movie. This is a fun... For me, this was Spielberg getting back to form. This is the Spielberg I've been wanting to see for a while. Again.
Okay. My thoughts were it felt like it's not a movie that Spielberg would have directed, but more one that he would have produced.
Nah.
All right. So we did have some feedback. I'm not reading it, by the way, because I'm not getting this fucking argument with Nick.
No.
All right.
I'm annoyed that I had to get into it, but I had to get into it.
Julie Murphy said it's her least favorite movie as a standalone movie. It was good, but the graphics were on point, but it doesn't do the book justice.
See, everybody that I hear is like, "Oh well, the book is so much better."
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
It's actually kind of funny because if you hear Catherine talk about the book, doesn't she hate the book?
She's listened to it on audiobook twice. I have read snippets of the book. It's dog shit. It's the kind of book, like, when I was in college, I used to read an author all the time, Bret Easton Ellis. Bret Easton Ellis wrote Less Than Zero, The Rules of Attraction, and American Psycho, to name a couple.
Oh, yeah, those are very lowbrow books.
Oh, no. The books were, I thought were well written at the time, not realizing that essentially what it was name-dropping. And if Wikipedia existed back then, it would have been a Wikipedia page of pop culture references. The book of Ready Player One is a list of pop culture references wrapped in a very, very thin story where the main character is kind of a jerk, and Ernest Cline is writing him through a very, very heavy shroud of toxic masculinity, masquerading as being a sensitive dude.
Ooh. The funny thing is, Julie says that this movie doesn't give Ernest Cline as much due credit. Ernest Cline co-wrote the screenplay.
Right. I don't know what she's talking about. The book is not a good book by any literary standards.
I don't know. I think I'd probably enjoy it.
The other thing too is the character of Artemis in the book is a size 10 with a giant port wine stain on her face.
Well,
oh no! Don't say that. Oh, they emulated that. She was a size 2 and barely had a little blemish on her face that she hid like she was a monster.
Yeah.
And then Wade is like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good with you. I'll live with it. What a hero.
What happened to your soul that made you so cynical? What happened to all the joy and fun in your life?
I didn't believe that they were attracted to it. No. All right. Here's the thing with this movie. I can understand why people like this movie so much, but I wish for 1 minute that they tried as hard to give you more compelling characters and a story that I didn't, I would at least maybe doubt myself a little bit in terms of the overall outcome. And no doubt how that movie was going to end. I wish they put as much thought into that and effort into that as they did all the fucking pop culture references. I didn't feel like I was watching a movie. I felt like I was having a conversation with you guys.
That's the problem. You focus too much on the pop culture and the fact that the pop...
They don't give you a choice not to, though.
But the pop culture flows with it. It's part of the movie. It is part of the is the Oasis. It is part of the movie that you can't avoid.
Part of my issue with that, though, is just... And again, I'm not trying to argue the movie more than my point of view of this is that, first of all, apparently there was no pop culture created anytime between now, 2018, and 2047?
2045.
2045.
Well, no, because everyone was in the Oasis.
The entire time.
Yeah.
And nobody decided that they wanted to innovate or create music or create anything on their own. Everybody just lived in the Oasis.
That's the whole point of the movie.
Wait a second. My understanding is that the creator of the Oasis is basically one of us.
Yeah.
So that's his point of reference.
That's his point of reference.
That's the thing. The movie is his story.
Right. But the only thing that... that's the story of the story. The issue I have with it is that people lived in there so long that they don't move on at all.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point of the movie.
Right. So in other words, is that why society doesn't where Wade lived looked like it was a shithole, and that is what I would expect the entire other area to look like, and it didn't. People have jobs. People go to school. People interact with other people before they drop out and go to the Oasis, where they spend all their time. Yeah. That means that nobody has innovated anything. Nobody has innovated music at all. Everything just resides within a 40-year time frame of 80s and 90s and early aughts pop culture references.
Yes.
It didn't feel...
Well, that's why you missed the entire point of the movie.
Okay. For me...
The entire point of the movie was, don't miss out on your own life.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
I think that... Okay, a better movie or better series that does VR and reality.
You say Westworld, I'm going to punch you.
No, Sword Art Online. I think that would have been a better way to adapt.
That's also like a 300 episode anime.
The first season, adapt the first season into a movie would be possible, but I think that does a better.
Seen the other animes that they turned into live action movies. Did you see Dragon Ball Evolution?
Oh, God.
I saw that movie in theaters, thank you very much. It was dog shit.
That's your fault, not mine.
I had hopes, and it was terrible.
I wanted the movie to be more than its trailer. And I didn't feel like it ever ascended anywhere beyond what the trailer showed me.
Well, that's your problem.
Yeah.
I saw a lot.
It is my problem, and I'm going to live with it, because I did not care for this movie.
Oh, bother. Kira's bike was in it.
I know, and so was Gundam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and also
the Gundam was awesome.
Also the Michael Bay Turtles.
Yeah, they did show up in the movie.
Because if I was going to pick my avatar...
I'm sure there's some,
It wouldn't be the 1990 Teenage Mutant.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they had the rights to them. I don't think LJN gave them those rights.
I'm sure there's some 10-year-old kids out there that would love to play as the Turtles in a movie. Come on.
I'm sure there's some kid out there who would love to play 10-year-old Anakin, okay?
Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm going to take this kid. No, you can't do that! Lucas's lawyers are on the phone.
Hey.
Now, this is pod racing.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't use the Tron cycles.
They probably didn't have the rights to them. Disney wasn't going to give them the rights to that.
I'm surprised at how many things they got the rights to be honest.
Most of those were within the Warner shell, though. Warner, and I know, the Alien thing with Fox, I'm amazed they got that, too. But, Buckaroo, there's a Buckaroo Banzai reference.
There is a really cool Buckaroo.
And it's just like...
It was cool, too. I don't even like Buckaroo Banzai. I thought the reference was cool.
It's like, did you really watch that movie? Or did you just say, someone's like, oh, I love this movie, and you should, too. And don't watch it, but here, use the suit.
It was a fun movie.
I just wanted it to try harder.
It was so much
fun. I really did.
So much fun.
I want more. Unfortunately, in 3 weeks, we're getting more.
I want to see this movie again.
Oh, well, it'll be on Blu-ray in no time.
No, I can't wait.
All right, and that is our epic Steven Spielberg. I can't believe before edits, an hour and a half. That's astounding. Anyway, next episode we should have out by May the 4th. So it is our annual riff of Star Wars, our second annual Star Wars riff, and this time we'll be doing The Empire Strikes Back.
In 2 years we'll be doing Phantom Menace.
Yes, we will be. Beard face out.
Well, I actually feel better about that than in 3 years' time.
Well, we just could skip it completely and just go to the.
We could just do the other ones. We could.
Force Awakens, Rogue One.
Oh boy. So anyway, really not taking many suggestions on that one because that's all stream of consciousness for the movie we've seen 1,000 times each. But if you like this episode and want to get more Geek Salad, you can check out our entire archive at geeksalad.podbean.com, where you can download the app. You can also get the show on the iTunes App Store as well as the Stitcher app. You can also follow us on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio. Follow us on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast. And if you have episode suggestions or any other feedback, you can email us at geeksaladradio@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out our YouTube page, which is Geek Salad.
Yeah, we did a companion piece to this episode.
Which eventually will come up.
Oh, that's right.
I'm still working on it. Yeah, I'm still working on the editing for that. And so we did a companion piece, which hopefully will be up either before or around the time we do this, talking about our favorite John Williams scores in tandem with the Spielberg movies.
Very Spielberg-Williams collaborations.
We discussed 6, but we actually have 10. 10 movies total. We did an honorable mention with that. So yeah. Until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Joe.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you soon.
You son of a bitch!